Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Barb Bacon, and I'm a community advocate here in South Charlotte. If I had my buttons on today, it would be, let's get some gun control. I'm tired of looking at the news and seeing this. Black Lives Matter in honor of our friend Joel. And let's have equal rights for everybody.
This is Gunn. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, North Carolina for LGBT women's rights with the National Organization for Women, gun sense laws with Moms and Men Action, and anything that extends equity to all. Thank you.
Christian Cano, you're the co-host. My buttons are Moms and Men Action, gun sense legislation, healthcare for all, Medicare for all, and also in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who's a guest of ours who passed away last year. That's it.
Good morning, everybody. It is June 7th, and we are Coffee Pan Dulce. And I'm here with Christian Cano, the producer and co-host. And it's just us chickens today. I am Jenny James Gunn. Besides our usual sidekick, if you're listening to this, you don't ever see this, but Christian loves his little tchotchkes, and so at least at the beginning of the show, we have little baby Trump Pinata, and we always have some version of Bernie. Christian likes to put his little tchotchkes with little Catholic candles
and toys.
The same Bernie. But anyway, it's just something he loves to do, and we've just gotten used to it. We just placate him, so he has his little doll collection. But had to make fun of it a little bit. It is Pride Month. Happy Pride to all of y'all that partake, including Ethan Schmidt out there in Arizona, and so it's a very celebratory month. The theme of our show today is two different celebrations of life: Pride Month, and then also Juneteenth, which comes up on. We're actually a little early, even though it's June 7th. Juneteenth is not till June 19th. But specifically, it for people who don't know what Juneteenth is, maybe you're white and you live in a silo, but even I know it is a story of origin that comes actually from Texas, where we're from. And we'll talk about that more later on in the show. Hey, Boo.
Excellent. Hey, happy Pride Month, Jenny. Happy Summer of Pride, or the Pride Summer. If any time in the United States we needed a summer of Pride or Pride Summer, this is it. 2023. So
we've had a tremendous amount of very childish and stupid attacks, specifically on the trans community, especially with trans youth, and drag queens of all people. In fact, Republican legislatures all over the country have spent tens of millions of dollars being financially responsible and chasing down the big issues of the day: drag queens performing on stage, and trans kids. They're just doing a normal thing, taking hormones, just like a lot of non-trans people do, like postmenopausal women almost are always on some type of hormone supplement.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing that trans people take. It was built for postmenopausal women primarily, or men that were not producing enough testosterone for whatever reason. As you get older, your testosterone diminishes, your ability to make testosterone diminishes.
Yeah.
Part of the aging process. It's very common. Even young men can be on it for dozens of different afflictions like Klinefelter's and everything else. But for some reason, trans kids can't take hormones.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to
which is very bizarre. It's a very bizarre mentality. They've made up a lot of lies about it. Spent a lot of time instead of, I don't know, doing what state legislature should be doing, like
fixing
maybe
potholes,
fixing potholes, funding school systems. Like here in North Carolina, they break the Constitution. The state legislature's actually been sued over in the Leandro case and lost. We still refuse to fund public education properly. Just different things like that. Like our home state, Texas, or our birth state. I don't even call it my home state anymore. Is 44th in spending money on public education. 44th.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're worried about drag queens. We're worried about
that's
doing their funny, cute shows. And I don't know about you, but I almost never see kids at a drag show. Because I don't think I have. I think maybe I've been to like a drag brunch where maybe a young lady had a baby. Because it was a brunch. It's a brunch. I mean, we're eating brunch. We're there at 11 o'clock in the morning. Hanging out. Like, I think there was one small child at a drag brunch we went to in 2022.
Together we went. Yeah,
because it was like it was a charity show. We're doing a fundraiser, and I think it's so bizarre that this is, of course, these are people that have stunted emotionally. They stopped maturing at 3 or 4 years old. They never got past the 5-year-old emotional level. And so now they become adults. And I'm using adults just because they're chronologically old enough to hold office or run for office. But they're emotional toddlers. And they have no capacity to think past themselves, which 2, 3, and 4-year-olds think might makes right. If I want that toy, I can take it from that other little baby because I'm bigger than them. That little 2-year-old, my little brother has that toy. I want that shiny object. I'm 4 years old. I'm a big kid now. I'll just go rip it out with little hands. And then you go over to the 4-year-old and go, no, you don't do that. Give it back to him and then hug him and be sweet about it. And you teach kids by age 5, which is what the magic number is for them to enter into kindergarten, is a lot of these emotional teachings that you have to teach young children when you're raising children. You have to teach them the rules so that when they go into real school, they're not sent home every day for grabbing people's pencils and crayons and, pouring, water on little Susie's head or whatever. Is that you teach them enough rules so when your ratty kids go to school, they've got some ability to function with their peers. That's why a lot of people send their kids to pre-K and different programs, Mother's Day Out programs, and or you're both working, if it is a 2-parent household, they have to put them in some kind of daycare, preschool, but for some reason, that stage of development is skipped every Republican out there. But they just think might makes right. I'm going to be an asshole. I'm going to be a toddler that's pooped their pants and they're stomping and they're mad about something, but they don't even know what they're mad about.
Well, what a great beginning to the show, huh?
Well, the reason why it's important, the reason why I'm saying is, one, because this is Pride Month. Sure. This is Juneteenth month. We're seeing racism rear its ugly head. We're seeing homophobia and transphobia rear its ugly head all year. And just like with, the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, just like we saw with the Little Mermaid release this last weekend, or actually 2 weekends ago, white woman, you're seeing this, is that they cast a black woman to be the Little Mermaid, and every white man above 40 that voted for Trump is having a conniption fit about a little kids movie that's meant for 4 to 10-year-olds.
And I hope what happens after Pride Summer, or the Summer of Pride, is we get to a point in America where we say, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about white men anymore. You know what I mean? And I think that these boycotts, I think these boycotts are in a bizarre way going to desensitize people to actually what they're doing. And, where people just get to a point where after the second boycott, Bud Light, Target, now they want to do Walmart, North Face, and the list goes. I mean, when Pride comes out and you say all the vendors that are actually there, it's going to get to a point where they're like, you know what, just give it up, And so I'm hoping that's what we get. Point,
you go to your neighborhood sports bar.
Yes.
And you went during the big scuff up about the Bud Light deal.
Yeah.
And they had a specific reaction.
They were like, what?
They didn't know. And that's
exactly.
a conservative place.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people that work there are conservatives. Most of the attendees are conservatives. It's a very specific part of town in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's just, but it's a predominantly white Republican neighborhood, and they didn't even know about it. And so,
well, I mean that's an excellent point. We're going to talk about that. But as Jenny said, welcome to Coffee Pan Dulce, everyone. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn. Barb Bacon will be back next week. Very excited about that from all of her volunteer work. And next week, she'll be back. And we'll also have Dr. B, our wonderful friend of the show, will be back talking about COVID survivors and officially COVID ending the global pandemic. Jenny and I do want to thank those who are joining us on Facebook Live, but also those who join us on YouTube, and the thousands who listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform. I want to tell you, Jenny, the last 28 days, I'm not sure what has pushed it, but we've broken a record. I think we've got like 30,000 views. It's our first 28-day month with a consistent 30,000 viewers, and the listeners I haven't checked yet, but that's usually 3 times the amount of viewers. So with that said, we're going to direct, as Jenny said, we have 2 shows today, kind of, and I'll tell you the reason we moved it this way. We'll be talking about Pride Month, but also talking about Juneteenth. And the reason we're doing this is because Dr. B is coming back next week, and we wanted to talk about the end of COVID, and it was a way for us to get him on the schedule before he heads off to his wonderful Colorado excursions that he goes to, beautiful city to visit his family. And so we're going to be talking about that. But before we do talk about these, and we'll talk about more of what you're talking about, Jenny, because you had a really good point there. And I also want to talk about something that you broke on your show that we taped before this one, which I still can't get out of my mind. I'm like, I can't wait to the show ends so you and I can talk about it. All right. Here's Barb's 3 current events.
And this is Barb's current events.
All right, well, so here's Barb's 3 current events. There's actually 4 of them now, Jen. So I had to add one because you always have to steal one from your show. The first one, white supremacist. There's a white supremacist who targeted LGBTQ plus people. He called them pedophiles, and he was part of. He's part of the Patriot Front. His name is Jared Michael Boyce. He was arrested as a member of the white nationalist anti-LGBT group Patriot Front. Well, he was arrested. The FBI has found 22 images of child pornography on his phone. Yeah, I know. Oh, who would have thought? Who would have thought? All right, so that's that's the first one. The second one, if you guys remember this guy, J.R. Majeski, he was a pro-Trump Republican accused of misrepresenting his military record. He ran, I believe, in Ohio. He lost. He was a Republican candidate. Well, he was running for Congress, and he lied about his, as most of them have, lied about their background and so forth. Well, he was supposed to make this political comeback, and he now is not going to make a political comeback. And the Republicans are very happy because he was disastrous. So that's the second one. The next one I thought was very interesting. There is an article about this evangelical African-American Black pastor who was really one of the people who originally started to use the term woke. And he was using it in a lot of his speeches. He was an evangelical. He is an evangelical pastor. And then when the George Floyd thing came about, he started preaching about injustices and so forth. And I remember when this tag, they were using the hashtag "Stay Woke." Stay woke. We here in Charlotte, North Carolina, our president of the NAACP was using that same hashtag early on, and I remember I copied it and I was using it as well. And then when the George Floyd thing happened, and that's when the Republicans started to use it as like a bad thing. They started to use the word woke, and really to them, woke means black. It's like code word for black. We don't want to be woke. We don't want to be black. And well, now he is now in the evangelical world, he's kind of like a pariah. I don't know what term you would use. He's like but interesting. He's making a comeback, and he hasn't changed. So I thought it was very interesting because if you really think about it, Jenny, the MAGAs and the like Dan Bishops and all of those kind of the MTGs, all of those Ron DeSantis, the people that they're actually criticizing are more religious African-American and Black people, which is really going to backfire because these are the conservative Black people who sometimes would align with them, but they're actually going against the people they need to continue to that. So I'm curious what you have to think about that. And then the last one, I added a 4-1, Ethan Schmidt, what we found out on your show, who you and I have talked about, and we talk about a lot of people like this, just like this other person, this white supremacist, allegedly has been cruising Grindr. And for those who may not know, that is a gay dating app, more of a sex app than more of a dating app. And so, Jenny, tell us what you want to say about those three.
Four.
Yeah.
I will cover the pedophile and Ethan Schmidt because they're kind of the same guy. Is that anytime that you see, especially grown white men, stomp their feet like a spoiled child in Toys R Us, and they're speaking against a group of people, whether they're making wild accusations that Biden's a pedophile, or Ethan going around and picking a cardboard sign from Target and throwing it on the ground and stomping on it like a child. Anytime that you see emotionally stunted people like that perform, guaranteed they're either, if it's anti-gay, they're probably gay.
Yeah.
If they are making wild accusations of pedophilia amongst LGBT people or Democrats or whomever they just don't like, 99% of the time they've been diddling little kids, or they have, child abuse materials. And sure enough, the pedo king himself got caught with child abuse materials. And What a shock. I mean, this happens over and over again.
Yeah.
You see the Catholic Church making wild accusations and forming all these different terror groups to harass LGBT people. And these churches lobby these Republicans to make all these fucking crazy ass bills in the law about, violating free speech and taking away people's ability to make a living, or they're taking away medication that's used by every type of human being, not just trans people, and making it a very dishonest, very intellectually and medically unsound practice. And it's just very bizarre. But anytime you see people screaming like this, you need to automatically you need to grab their computers and their devices, because I guarantee you
something's up. Yeah.
Yeah. The guilty always scream a lot. I always refer to, everybody remembers back in school when the kid just laid a greasy fart. He's the one that's going to yell, "Who farted?" It's the "Who farted" kid all over again.
Yeah.
You already know it was the kid that yelled out, "Whoever smelt it, dealt it." Whatever saying you want to say, it's always that kid.
Yeah.
And now they've become adults, and they act the same way. They want to deflect off themselves. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I know I'm cruising for dudes, but I need to look like I'm mad about people being gay.
Yeah.
Or make pedophile.
Projection.
Yeah, projection.
So,
Freud always,
Yeah, how about the other two? How about the Ohio guy who lied about his military thing? I mean, that's kind of a...
I mean, it's just another George Santos. It's just
exactly
another Republican. Yeah. Our good friend Matty Cawthorn did the same thing. Yeah. Embellished their path instead of just running on who they are.
Yeah,
he's a gay, paralyzed, sissy Republican, trust fund baby, and second generation politician, and just ran on those attributes. May not have gotten in office, but he Madison Cawthorn did the same thing and lied about his past when he ran for office, and then he got in office, and people were like, "Oh, he probably shouldn't have done that," but and then he got the Republicans really mad by saying Washington D.C.'s Republicans who's always having cocaine and orgy parties.
Cocaine and orgies, yeah.
Which we all know the Republicans love. Just look at Don Jr. But yeah, I mean, it's the Republicans are at the point they've fucked around so long that they're starting to find out, and they're probably trying to keep more Madison Cawthorns and George Santoses out of their party
because they were so toxic the last couple of elections. So
they're about to just get crushed. The House, they're going to lose the House in 2024. They're going to get obliterated because of clowns like that aren't getting into politics for public service. They're getting in it because they can have 1,000 viewers
for celebrityness. Yeah, they're getting in it for celebrity reasons.
Well, the next
hey Jen, Hey Jen, we're coming up. We're past our first break here because we're talking about other things. But real quickly, how about this evangelical pastor? He's a black evangelical pastor who actually was one of the first persons to start talking about woke. Well, now he is considered the bad guy in the white evangelical world because he was talking about the things that they don't like. It's a really bizarre thing because he's an evangelical pastor. He started talking about it in 2012 with Trayvon Martin, and then he wrote a book, and then
I mean, stay woke, stay aware has been a long-term progressive civil rights saying that predates him even saying it, but stay woke goes way, way back. A lot of Black civil rights leaders have said some version, or have actually said, stay woke, stay aware, have the talk with your kids about what neighborhoods not to go to, what neighborhoods are dangerous to bike while being Black, hike and be that white privileged people don't have to have that talk. They don't have to worry about, white people can go anywhere.
So this is what I don't understand. We're going to talk about this because I think this kind of goes into Juneteenth. And let's go ahead and take our first break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about this a little bit more. So we'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce right after this.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching, and support our local Black and brown businesses, including our sponsor, Manolo Bakery. That has some fabulous pastries, food, cheesecakes, all kinds of specialty cakes, swallows, and much, much more. Some of the best food we eat in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, Manolo's Bakery, right here in East Charlotte. Thanks for watching.
Hey everyone, we just want to wish you a happy Pride. June is International Pride Month, and we're celebrating it all month long. Also, we do want to thank those who watch us on Facebook and YouTube, and the people who now listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform. We want to thank you. Don't forget that our summer schedule is out, so we have our topics that we'll be covering in July and also in August. And just want to say, happy Pride. I'll dance out. Happy Pride, everyone. All right, so this is kind of what I was thinking, Jenny, because with Pride Month coming around and Juneteenth and with the woke and things like that, it's so obvious to me when I hear someone like Dan Bishop, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ron DeSantis, a lot of these individuals. Trump really didn't jump on the woke bandwagon as much as some of these other ones did. Okay, they're the ones that started it almost like last year. I remember when they were starting to use this, because remember, it was cancel culture before they were using, and then they went to critical race theory, and then it became woke. Then we want to fight the woke companies, and then he said the infamous, "This was Florida's where woke comes to die." Everyone knows when you hear that, and that what that really means, that's a dog whistle for Black. It really is. I don't want. They're really saying it's because they can't say the N-word anymore, or they'll be ridiculed for saying it. They use woke. That's the term that they're using. You're too woke, and I don't want a woke NFL. I don't want a woke NBA. They don't want too many more black people in the NFL, and so I wonder why we haven't as Democrats, for an example, why haven't we really shared that message? Because we know what it means. I mean, I know what it means. And people who even say, like you talked about that person who wrote that book about woke, and she couldn't explain what woke meant. The reason she couldn't explain what woke meant was because what it really means is Black. So she doesn't actually know what the academic explanation is. All she knows is why she uses it.
Well, I mean, it's almost understood that almost everything that Republicans and conservatives lash out about is all going to stop and start with white supremacy.
Exactly. Good point.
Which is white people of Western European descent, have a long history of racism. It's why slavery started. It's why Juneteenth is so important. Is that white people want to see superior. Want to feel superior because they're so thin-skinned, and they got to keep other people down. Whether it is queer movements, whether it's Black feminism theory, whether it is Black Lives Matter, any threat to their so-called authority is going to be targeted. And so when the term woke kind of got re-spoken into the public eye, the Black community has been talking about being woke, staying aware,
Sure.
being aware of your surrounding for decades.
Yeah.
This is nothing new.
Okay.
Well, being woke or being aware and creating that awareness since the post-civil rights era is something that, Black people always have to face. They have to face things that you and I don't even face.
Yeah.
It is our descendants were never slaves in American history. We were either here, like your family was before the United States was probably even the United States, or myself, most of my family came over on a boat. And so, we came over here looking for jobs, looking for prosperity, because where we were at, and Europe was going through a horrific Great Depression and famine and Spanish flu and all kinds of stuff. And so we all have origin stories, but the Black/African slave story is not only a horrific, genocidal, really, really bad part of our history, but they also have a unique experience because the majority of the Black people descended in this country from slavery.
Yeah.
And also the white man's the white conservatives' deal to say, I want to keep you some version of that. I want to make sure you know your place. And so anytime the Black civil rights movement pushes back, like we saw in 2020, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at that. They need to squash that and say, no, know your place. Stay in your lane. You're inferior. We're supreme.
Well, that's
that's a very plantation response.
Yeah.
That's a very, cracker type response. It's a reflex. That supposed white supremacy movement is that it's almost like a muscle reflex or a martial arts reflex. Not blaming it on Black people. But I'm saying white people their racism is so ingrained into their DNA. And especially the stupider conservative people and on the white side of the ledger, they automatically think it's their right to be racist, to lash back that way.
That's what I maybe it's so apparent to everyone that maybe I'm misreading the situation. But whenever I hear you and I, we live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and our former congressperson who now represents a different part of North Carolina, Dan Bishop, Bathroom Dan Bishop, is part of the Freedom Caucus. He's a very obnoxious kind of guy. He's kind of like an older MTG kind of guy.
Bathroom Dan.
If you follow Dan Bishop's career, when he was in the State House, all of the comments he made, all of his, he was when he was running for Congress, it was originally, it was reported that he had invested in a white supremacy app, and he said he didn't really realize it was a white supremacist app. He thought it was just an app, and so when you look at all of his comments, every time he comments on something, it's so obvious that he is a racist. It's very obvious. He doesn't hide it. He just doesn't say the N-word.
Well, he might as well. So here's one of the things with where white supremacy. One of the reasons they get so mad about, I guess, our version of cancel culture is we've taken away a lot of their tools, so they can't out call people of color monkeys and the N-word and all that, like old school white supremacists used to do. Like Jimmy the Greek, when he said on that one NFL commentary, he said, "Oh, look at that monkey run." And he meant it. He was an old white racist, and he was used to being this white men of that era were just used to saying whatever the fuck they want, and using the N-word, using horrible slurs like that. It was just something that was just normal, because I was a kid in that era, and I heard a lot of grown white men
Sure.
say slurs like that, and it just was commonplace. And then we had the civil rights movement.
Sure.
And really, America started to come. We haven't completely come to terms with it, but it's just so accepted.
Sure.
That white men, especially conservative men, are automatically gonna. You assume they're racist. That's really the origins of what a woke or aware means in the Black Civil Rights Movement is stay woke, stay aware, keep your head on a swivel, protect your own, cover everybody's backs. And so we automatically default Black Americans have to keep their head on a swivel. They have to be that way, because you automatically default that if you run into a white conservative, you're going to get some racism. You're going to get it. It may be inferred. It may be, you people. It may be, you talk
all of those,
or passive aggressive stuff. Like, you talk really well for a Black person. You sound very educated, which is just saying, oh, well, you must have been educated around white people if you talk that way. You're one of the good ones.
Well, and that happened. That happened recently here in North Carolina. Here in North Carolina, they were debating a bill about at the state legislation. They were debating a bill about education, I believe, or some sort like that. And there was a white Dan Bishop type individual here in North Carolina that was questioning a African American representative who went to Harvard. And basically said, well, you wouldn't have gone into Harvard unless you were Black, right? I mean, that was basically what he said. And then he said, yes, sir, I got into Harvard because I qualified to get into Harvard.
Well, not only did he graduate with a bachelor's from Harvard, he ended up going and getting a law degree from Harvard. So he got 2 degrees from Harvard. Mm-hmm. And this guy, what the white supremacist jackass said was that basically civil rights laws and the fact you were an athlete got you into Harvard.
Exactly.
Now, Harvard athletes still have to get into Harvard.
Exactly.
You still have to have the grades and the ability to get into Harvard. You don't get You don't get a free pass. It's Harvard.
It's not like going to NC State
or Texas Tech. Like,
exactly.
The qualification to get into Texas Tech, can you literally fog up this mirror and sign your name? And I'm not being facetious. I know people that went to Tech that shouldn't have been going to college. They weren't smart enough, but they got into Tech. Now, their SAT scores were so low that they had to take some remedial classes to fully qualify, literally in their first semester. And I know who they are. We got the receipt.
Hey, Jen.
But that is the core. That's a great example of what white supremacists do. Yeah. Oh, you didn't really qualify to go to Harvard. Mm-hmm. You didn't really you don't really belong here. Where are you from? All those little anti-people of color, anti-Hispanic, anti-Black, anti-Asian, everybody, white supremacists, when they approach people, if they meet somebody that has an Eastern Asian look, Vietnamese, they can go, where are you from?
So, hey, Jen, interesting you say that, because I do want to, I hate to keep talking about this, but I think it is important, especially since we're talking about Juneteenth and Pride and all the stuff that I hope we're seeing differences with our new generations, the millennials and the baby Z's, compared to our generation, the Gen Xers and the boomers. So we're going to take our second break, and we're going to stay on this. We'll be right back on Coffee Pan Dulce.
Hey y'all, it's International Pride Month, and I want to wish everybody, our fellow queer neighbors and our allies, a happy Pride Month. spend money in Target and your local queer Black and brown businesses as well. But happy Pride. Thanks for watching this show, and be safe out there.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, Dave.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching our Coffee Pan Dulce Show every week. Don't forget, you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee Pan Dulce. We'll dance out. So, Jen, what I find very interesting is the difference between the boomers and the Gen Xers. Now, not all of them, because there are exceptions. I mean, you and I are Gen Xers, and I think we're progressive. So I would not consider us to be your typical Gen Xers in compared to,
right.
There's a lot of them out there. But one of the interesting things that I find it really, and one of the things that millennials and baby Zs get that I appreciate, it's less effort to just be a decent person than to constantly try to show, like someone like MTG. It takes a lot of effort to be stupid and racist the way she is. It takes a lot of effort and energy.
Yeah.
And it would be so much easier for her just to be a decent person. So when I see someone like Dan Bishop, who is an attorney by trade, when I see this person like you're talking about, that we've seen and we know some individuals, and I've met some of these individuals, when you see them, and I think that takes a lot of energy and effort to be an asshole, to be like that. It would be so much easier for you just to be a decent person, And so, but see, they call that woke. They say, well, I don't want to be woke. Well, it's harder to be.
Well, whatever term they use, to excuse their bigotry, whether it's I don't want to be politically correct, I don't want to.
Sure. Yeah.
So this is just another way of saying I don't want to be a kind, empathetic, rational adult.
Exactly.
Flaming dickhead.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be such a fucking asshole that I want to create some kind of special bathroom police like Dan Bishop did.
Yeah.
Or I want to ban medical care for kids. I want to, do a special bill that bans drag performances. I am such a fucking asshole. My life is such a fucking dumpster fire that I'm going to make everybody fucking miserable. And that's really the root of white supremacy. I'm such a failure as a human being. I've got to make race an issue. I've got to make people with more melanin miserable because I'm a miserable I'm a failure as a human being. And they almost always are shitbags, just like Trump. He's an absolute shitbag, a piece of shit human being. And they always are. They're either down low pedophiles or philanderers like Trump, rapists like Trump. They're mean to animals. There's something fucked up about people like that sit around and go, I not only want to be a shitbag in my own life, but I want to have power over people and make other people fucking miserable. And that's the intent. The cruelty is the intent, especially from white conservatives, is that I can't make it on my own. I have no real talent, except my talent is I'm a fucking asshole. And so I've got to lower the bar and push people down. I won't sit there and raise the tide and lift all of humanity up. I can't do that. And you saw that with Reagan. You saw that with Nixon, old dirty dick himself. You saw that with all these Republicans. They make the world so fucking miserable because they hate America so much that these fuckwits have to keep white supremacy alive. And white supremacy is anything but white supremacy. It's actually the opposite. It's white fuckery and loserville. White supremacists are losers. And when they have to support this idea that white people are intellectually and mentally supreme because of the pigment of their fucking skin. You got to realize this is why they obsess over genitalia. This is why they hate the queer movement. And the hate of the queer movement from white conservatives is because the queer movement, the most activist part of it was in Black and brown communities.
Exactly.
A lot of the balls that they had in New York that the police were raiding. The reason why they did underground balls, aka drag shows, it was mostly brown and Black performers, like 99% of them, and it was a protest, and it was a celebration of life that was predominantly in underground clubs. It was not stuff that was commonly known, and police had to find out where these things were being held, and they would raid them all the time. It wasn't that long ago when they were still doing these raids of these underground queer bars. Like in North Carolina, they were raiding these places up until like the 2010s, going in and finding reasons to go into, oh, there must be drugs, there must be this, there must be that. And so, but it really, the anti-queer movement and these police crackdowns in a fascist style really are still rooted in white supremacy. And so for many reasons, I think it's only fitting that Pride Month falls in the month with Juneteenth. I think both many, you know, and I'm not the only one to point this out. You know, many Black feminists have also pointed this out, that we all have a shared cause, and you know, the book Freedom is a Constant Struggle, the author actually talks about this and says how different movements for freedom are very parallel. Like, she compared Ferguson to the apartheid in South Africa, and the you know, the situation in Israel and Palestine, and all these different concurrent struggles for freedom based not just on racism, but sexuality and being trans. And how one of the magical things about Obama and Obama's presidency was he was the first president to really acknowledge the LGBT community in many different ways. And he created a era of acceptance, which is what's scaring these old white people, as they're like, oh my God, the Black people, the brown people, the queer people are taking over. And they're so scared of this much smarter, more technologically savvy younger generations, like the millennials that turned out en masse to vote for Obama. It wasn't just a vote for Obama. It was a vote for hope, for change, for modernization of a country, that they want to see a better version of us. They don't want to see our country run by dirty, old, greasy, unwashed ass white men that hate everybody but white men. And I don't even think they like each other.
But what's so crazy about this, you know, as we talk about Pride and we talk about, you know, Juneteenth, celebration of Juneteenth, or honoring Juneteenth, however people look at it, is that every year that goes by, and we've been doing this Juneteenth for what, three years now, I believe, and every year we talk about this. It seems like every year, even though this last year has been really a challenge for LGBTQ plus community, with all the laws passed, with all the anti-drag, anti-trans bills, all this stuff that's been going on, spearheaded by Ron DeSantis, Moms for Liberty, all these crazy nut jobs. What's crazy is every month that goes by, every year that goes by, their opinion becomes less and less relevant, and it makes them angrier and angrier. And we, even to the point where they are pulling out the closeted gay guys.
They right. You know what I mean? But here's
I mean,
the thing.
they've run out of fuel that they're actually having to dig in. All right, guys, we don't have that many more people. First of all of our older racist guys are dying off. The other ones are going, oh, I give up. We've lost this game. So we need some other young guys, but let's do the closeted gay guys.
but here's their biggest issue.
Yeah.
Is that time's not on their side.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's two really important timelines to think about: 2026 and 2028. And the reason I'm saying this, the largest voting bloc in American history will be in full control by 2028. Millennials and Generation Z will be the biggest voting bloc in 2028. They'll dwarf Gen X and baby boomers. What few baby boomers will be left in 2028. And so you are seeing a massive polar shift to those two youngest generations. By 2028, the older millennials will be close to what my age is now.
Yeah.
And then Generation Z will be completely adult. Will be all above 18. And it's a massive generation. It's a huge friggin' generation. And because of that, it's over for older people. Gen X and the baby boomers are going to be a very small voice in American politics. Their day's over. They're especially baby boomers, their power is sunsetting by the day, because there's literally 5,000 baby boomers a day dying in America. 5,000 a day. Because they're just at that age. There's no other way of sugarcoating that. These people are a generation that's not buying green bananas. And because of that, the reality is that mortality and legacy are hitting them right in the face. And especially the old white people in that generation that grew up in the 40s and 50s, when America was a super douchebag country, super racist, super this, super that. Their way of looking at America is a dead concept. It's over for them. Stick a fork in them, they're done. And they're very sad about that. And they don't like the fact that queer people have a voice, black people have a voice, and brown people have a voice. They don't like it. And their old racist ass is going to the grave going, oh my God, the next generations are going to look very much different than what it looked like in our Ozzie and Harriet friggin' dead era.
Yeah.
The 1940s and 50s, and that mindset is dying. And nobody wants to bring it back. We also have a thing called the Google machine, for those younger generations, when you say something stupid, which conservatives manage to really work at being that stupid and obtuse, they're not having it. They're just saying, no, Grandpa, just go take a nap, take your pills. We got this. Okay, we're now in charge. And we're going to vote people like you out of office. We're going to put you on permanent nap time, and you can go eat mushy foods and watch Jeopardy at 3 o'clock every day. And that old feisty generation don't like the loss of power that they've had for so long.
Especially the boomers. Especially the boomers
have been in charge of this country since Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And they've had 30 years. They've had an exceptionally long run in controlling this country. And they now realize Biden's going to be that last president of that batch of people before much younger people take prominent roles and say, no, that's bullshit. Because you're seeing it in Colorado, you're seeing it in Minnesota, you're seeing it in California, where much younger leaders, very boisterous leaders, very intelligent leaders are saying, nah, not even in conservative areas like Bobert's
Yeah.
district,
Hey, Jen,
Colorado.
hey, I got to break in because we're way past our last break. If you like what you're hearing from Jenny, she does have a show that comes on 30 minutes after this one. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. We've already taped it, so I know exactly what she's talking about. And so this last commercial is going to be about her show. So we'll be right back on Coffee. I almost said Two Queers in a Truck. We'll be right back on Coffee Pan Dulce right after this.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye.
Well, welcome back. So don't forget to listen to her show. There's a great conversation that we have about Ethan Schmidt. So, which is going to be very interesting to see over the next, and during Pride, who knows? Maybe he'll be celebrating Pride, the Pride summer with us. So listen, we're going to go directly into our Pendejo Chronicles, and the Pendejo Chronicles is going to be about Ron DeSantis. And this is the Pendejo Chronicles. All right, so welcome to the Pendejo Chronicles. This is the Pendejo Chronicles. So Ron DeSantis did we're not reading anything. Normally we would read something from someone posting something on social media about our show. Ron DeSantis did a rollout a couple of weeks ago when you watch this on Twitter, and he decided to not do it like normal people would be a press conference or a rally where media people cover it. He decided to put all of his success in the hands of Elon Musk. What could go wrong? And a lot of things did go wrong. So it was a disaster. And, he was trying to spin it like, well, it was almost Trump-ish. It was so busy that we crashed the internet. Not really true, because there are people who've had like millions of people on something like this. It didn't crash the internet. So that is the Pendejo. So the Pendejo Chronicles goes to Ron DeSantis for being such a dumbass that he crashed his own
DeSantis, or as I like to refer to him as Governor Dick Suckus.
Exactly.
Type of Nazi clowns. When they do stuff, they almost always fall flat on their face. This happened to Hitler a lot too. Is that there was a lot of Germans that laughed about him, laughed at him, especially in his early days. Because you can't take an idiot, like, you have to take them serious from the fact that you don't want them to have any higher office. That DeSantis has already fucked up Florida. He doesn't need to fuck up the other 49 states. So he definitely does. I don't think he has a chance of being president, because I think he's got too much dirt on him now. You can see Florida unraveling. You can see where he wants to take America. And I'm 99% sure people around most of the country don't want a dumber version of Trump in office. Not even
exactly.
Republicans don't even like him. He's an asshole among Republicans.
Yeah, because he's running on this platform. He wants to bring Florida to the United States, and everyone's going, no, we don't. Not even Texas. Texas is going, oh, we don't want to be like Florida.
Yeah,
we want to be like Texas, which is the same, but still,
Yeah, it's the same type of idiot.
Yeah.
It's just that Governor Hot Wheels isn't going to run for president because he's not electable outside of Texas.
He's
only a state like Texas or Florida has a particular type of stupid that likes performative idiots like this.
Mm-hmm.
But most states don't. Most states, even conservative states, are going, they're really way too clowny and way too intellectually stunted and immature idiots. And you can look at DeSantis and you can look at an Abbott. When big emergencies happen, they fall flat on their face. Abbott with, the power grid failures of the last couple of years that have led to the deaths of Texans. Mm-hmm. You can look at the way they react to mass shootings. and you go, there is no fucking way this person needs to be in any presidential whatsoever. I wouldn't want him to be the fucking janitor of the White House, much less president. And these two don't even qualify to even do a White House tour, much less sit over office. These two are.
Well, when you were talking about the ages and the voting situation, and this is the miscalculation. And you and I talk about this a lot about the MAGA strategy, the Christian nationalist strategy, all those strategies of the ones that are the haters, so to speak. It's not sustainable. Ron DeSantis is a perfect example of what happens when you misjudge the future of America. He's 44 years old, so he's not a Gen Xer. He's an older millennial. And he was running, when he ran for governor, he was the youngest. He was like 39 years old, 40 years old when he ran. So when people elected him, I think they assumed they were going to get like a millennial kind of thinking. But then he turned into be a conservative wacko because he was trying to appeal to the Gen Xers and the boomers by doing all this don't say gay stuff and all that. So he was appealing to the wrong future. Had he been elected as an older millennial and run like a millennial, people would have gone, oh, he's the future. But he's running like he's a racist, crazy boomer, which is not the future.
Well, he's running as himself.
Yes.
He is
okay. Well, yeah.
And his wife's an asshole. So Casey DeSantis is a Moms for Liberty.
Yeah. Crazy person.
Insanely fascist, Christo-fascist, Christian nut job. She's very, very whack. And so she's pushing a lot of this too. And he's a moron. Let's just say what he is. The dude's a moron. He has no background. He folds like a cheap tent in pressure situations. He dresses the way she dresses him. So he looks like a fat little meatball in white boots. This dude has no identity of his own. He does what his wife tells him. Just like and mother.
Yeah.
This is another Pence. So unlike Trump's an evil fucking bastard, but he's his own person.
Exactly.
He doesn't know why telling him what to do. He'll go.
Is that crazy that we're actually agreeing with Trump at this moment? Not agreeing with him.
Trump is right,
but in comparison,
Trump is, somebody, whether you like him or not.
Yeah.
And he is a complete shitbag and asshole.
Yeah.
But he's his own dude. He's been consistently a shitbag all of his life. He does what he wants. He's a big old man toddler that is not real smart. Even the Republicans say, well, he talks on the third and fourth grade level because that's what the Republican voters want to hear because it makes him sound honest. When the Republican Party is really saying is that our voters are low information voters and they can only understand very simple terms. And that's
exactly
anything that's woke or intellectual or critical thinking, we've dumbed them down so much. And we've made them hate education so much and teacher union so much that anything that sounds intellectual scares them. Like, oh, fire, bad. The Republican voter is dumb as fuck. They are dumber than a fucking fence post, and that's an insult to the fence post. Let's be very real about this. If you get your panties in the wad over a display with rainbows and fucking Target, you're a fucking idiot and you're an asshole. You don't have anything better to do than to get twisted on that or get twisted off a black Little Mermaid. You're a fucking idiot. You just are. You automatically put yourself in an asshole and idiot class. You're a dick. As you always say, when you show yourself to be a dick, we're going to believe you. And Trump is a dick, but he's his own dick. And this is why he's leading in the polls, is because even Republicans, as stupid as they are, looks at Trump and they go, yeah, how about your fake ass trading cards? And now they're going out and they bought these things called Trump bucks off one of Trump's scams.
Yeah,
And
I saw that.
these idiots are so stupid. This tells you how dumb Republicans are. Some of these people are taking these Trump bucks into banks, including Bank of America, and trying to cash them in for American dollars. Now, if you want to tell me what the state of the Republican Party is today, that these dumb chuckle fucks donated to his campaign and they thought getting these Trump bucks are actually legal tender to the point where they're going into banks, major banks, and saying, I would like to turn this currency in for American dollars. This is where we are in America today. And these are voters. These are people that vote for him, support him. These are American adults, supposedly, going into banks. And that's where we are in 2023. Like, this is happening right now, where these chuckle fucks are trying to trade in Trump dollars. That's who we're competing against, which to me is very reassuring.
Yeah.
That if we can't beat them in 2024, then we can't beat the meatball in 2024 because Trump will probably be in jail by the time November comes around next year. So probably DeSantis probably is going to get the nomination, or one of the other idiots. Like, none of the people running outside of Trump have any brains. I mean, we got Nikki, Nimrata. I'm brown, but I don't want to be known as brown. I just have a year-round tan because my party that I feel is super racist. They won't support an Indian for president or a woman. I mean, like Nikki's got a big roto-hoe, or Tim, the Great Pumpkin Scott. Like, there's a reason why he can't wear orange shirts, because he would look like the Great Pumpkin from Charlie Brown with those chiclets and that face. Like, he's got a face on the radio. Or any of the other chuckle fucks running for president, including Dick Sackett. These people are so dumb and so out of touch with modern America and the millennial and Gen Z. That's the smartest generations we've ever had, the most technologically savvy. That no Gen Z or millennial would ever get Trump. First of all, they wouldn't give Trump money, but if they did, like, they hit their head on the stairs. Or, you know, Ethan Schmidt went to mommy and borrowed money to go buy some Trump bucks. A person like Ethan Schmidt that's a Gen Z, he would probably go to a bank and try to cash the Trump bucks in. Well, he said they were money, they're good as gold. He
would probably try to use his Trump bucks to pay for his Grindr account. So just
you know, but the bottom line is that what generated the holiday of Juneteenth was the cruelty of Texas not freeing the slaves for 2 more years. That's what Juneteenth is that they found out on June 19th, 1865, that the Emancipation Proclamation that was declared in 1863, 2 years before, they finally found out that they were free. That's not only typical Texas white supremacy, but one of the reasons it's celebrated is a celebration of freedom. The Black movement, the Brown movement, the queer movement is about freedom, about really being Americans. We're the most American Americans, that we live by our love. And that's what Pride Month and Juneteenth is all about. Loving our communities, celebrating our communities. And if you don't like that, not only are you a fucking asshole and a big head, but you're a fucking idiot. If you think a man loving a man is a threat to your humanity, to your freedom, then you don't know what freedom really is. And I feel like the Pride movement and BLM and so many of those other movements are the most quintessential American movements ever in our history. And they really are the true patriots. Is that when I saw the beauty of people coming together in 2020 and saying, we don't want this bullshit anymore. We're tired of this. You idiots. Definitely white people aren't supreme. If you see somebody flailing around like a toddler because they don't want to wear a mask, and then 3 years later go to protest a drag show like the Proud Boys do, wearing a mask to cover your identity because you're probably in law enforcement and you're a shitbag times 2. Something's fucked up. Something's fucked up when you can't even understand the fundamentals that Trump bucks aren't real, masks and COVID are real, vaccines save lives. You know, understanding our history is important, including our very racist history of slavery and other things like that. If you fear that, if you fear understanding your history, there's something wrong with you. There's something innately wrong with you. You're so petty, so small that you shouldn't be in charge. Republican Party should have no authority in this country if you're that fucking dumb. That if you want to tarnish people's First Amendment right to get up and perform, because they're not doing any fucking thing wrong. They're just expressing themselves. You know, whether it's an R-rated show or a G-rated show or whatever, that's not the point. Freedom of speech isn't catering to one group's whims. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech for all people or none. And when you want to kill the 1A because your panties are in a wad, because your worldview is so narrow that you care that a man in a dress gets up and lip syncs a fucking song, and that scares you so much, and rainbows scare you so much, you are not relevant. You have got some mental fucking issues. And I'm tired of them trying to wrap that into patriotism. None of these fucking conservative MAGA chuckle fucks are patriots. You're the opposite of patriots. The fact that my father and grandfather fought to keep the 1A alive against communists and fascists that wanted to take away our freedoms, the fact that you guys are fighting to take away freedoms now. It's illegal and unconstitutional to keep people from performing drag. It's part of freedom of speech. It's illegal to take away somebody's medical right to transition. It's illegal to do that. You shouldn't even know they're transitioning because of HIPAA. And you're invading their medical privacy. And they're like, same with abortion. It's illegal for somebody that if you went to a clinic to even consider an abortion, it's protected by HIPAA. They're breaking the fucking law by passing laws against abortion. It's an American right to do what with your body when you want to do it. Fuck that shit. And fuck them. They're fake patriots. And they're dipshits. And real Americans believe in fairness. Real Americans believe in freedom for all. Real Americans fight for black neighbors. If you're a real American, you fight for your black neighbors. You don't try to segregate them. You don't try to keep them down. And you try to help them up and fight for them. You fight alongside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said it exactly, Jenny, and I think that one of the things that I think we will see, and we said it on this show as well, the difference between the millennials and the baby Zs and the Gen Xers and the boomers is the millennials and the baby Zs, they are more interested in just being decent people. And I think that is that's going to change America. It's going to change the world. I know it's changing Britain. We talked about it last week about the electorate, or whatever term you use. As you said, I mean, the voting ages are changing dramatically, and I do think that once the dust settles, we get through Pride Summer. I think when people this summer, and we've run out of time, we got to end here. When people this summer get out, go to, this really is the first summer, full summer, post-pandemic. It's been over for a while, but this is really the first summer. Even people who, it was kind of over last summer, but there were still people wearing masks, and I still wear masks, periodically and so. But this is really the first summer where it is like, okay, we're kind of back to normal. When people get out to Pride, when people get out doing these things in the summer, and even conservative people, when they get out and they see parades and they see, hey, they're not harming anyone. This is a celebration. This is, I think by the end of the summer, that the damn bishops, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, their biggest fear is people turning on them because they have a little bit of audience. And I think after this summer, I'd be interested to see, let's say in a couple of weeks from today, when we hear, someone wants to boycott Walmart, yeah, it'll make the news, but I think we're going to get to a point where people are going to start to go, you're being ridiculous.
I think they already are.
Okay.
Like you said, your own personal example is you probably got more Republicans than Democrats that go to your neighborhood bar, and they didn't even know about the controversy.
Yeah.
And what that tells me is that regular people that aren't talking about politics on a daily basis, that go about their regular lives and do their regular things, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, for the most part, the only people that really pay attention to the Bud Light issue, for example, are people that are heavily involved in the politics.
Yes.
Somebody freaking out about a beer can and a trans doing some one-off commercial for them is a much ado about nothing. They're like,
exactly.
They're going like, I don't have the bandwidth to pay attention to that. I gotta pay.
Exactly. I've got more important things to worry about. Yeah.
Little Susie needs braces. I've got to come up for the copay on that. Most people, they're going to pay attention to big things like a president trying to ignore a pandemic, for example, like Trump did.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really stupid stuff that also influences your life. They're going to pay attention to. But conservatives getting their panties in a wad about Dylan Mulvaney being a spokesperson for Bud Light, they don't give two shits about him.
Yeah,
they don't care. They don't care that there's a little tiny 5x5 pride display and merchandising. Most people just walk by it. The people that are allies or they're queer are going to go there and browse the little section.
And if you shop at Target, it's a different demographic than a Walmart shopper. It really is. It's a very different. And I shop at Walmart, and I purposely do pick up because I don't want to walk in.
Yeah, but also too.
Yeah,
I go in the Easter candy section.
Yeah,
I'm not Christian.
Yeah,
I'm not atheist. I'm not offended with little tchotchkes of Jesus and Easter bunnies.
Yeah.
What Easter is, I went to Sunday school. I went to church. I was in a church. I know all the meaning of it. I've read the Bible multiple times. But I still go buy chocolate Reese's peanut butter cup eggs because they taste fucking good. I don't care if it says Easter. I don't care if one's on there. I don't care. It's fucking good. It's very tasty.
Yeah.
I buy them. I don't have to worry about the connotation of religion in that. I don't get all twisted up that they're making money off some kind of religious holiday. It doesn't matter to me. I don't get offended, and it's the same thing. It's none of my business. If people want to celebrate Easter, good for you.
Yeah.
Like I care.
It's not like you and I are going to go and jump on the Easter bunny and
I don't go to Christmas displays in stores. I don't go to Walmart where all the rednecks go to and go and tear down all the Christmas displays and the mangers. I don't take all the light up animatronic mangers that they have right now.
Yeah,
I pick them up over my head and throw them and then stomp on them like a 2-year-old child.
It's ridiculous.
I walk past and say, okay, that's pretty cute.
Yeah.
See you later. I'm going to go over here to buy some chocolate Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That's it. I go and live my life. It's not important to me.
Well, we are at the end of our show. Tell us where you're going to be, Jen, in 30 seconds or less, the weekend after this airs.
I honestly don't know, other than working. I'll be celebrating Pride Month any instance I can. Charlotte Pride, our local Pride, does not celebrate in June. We celebrate later in the summer. So, all of our activations and pop-ups are going to be all, self-generated things. I do have an event coming up later in June. Myself, my gaming event is coming up the last Thursday of the month. And we're doing a special presentation at the All-American Pub. And it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of hijinks. And it's probably going to be a pretty packed event. But other than that, nothing super special other than just enjoy. And this is my favorite time of the year. I love summer. So I will be enjoying summer any way I can.
Excellent. And I will also be enjoying summer somewhere. And then, of course, in July, we will be taking the show to Florida, to an undisclosed location, to be talking about all things Florida. We'll do 4 shows in the month of July talking about Florida. It's going to be a really good time. So with that said, we're going to dance out here. So happy Pride Month. Happy Summer of Pride and happy Pride Summer, and also happy Juneteenth. So we will dance out. We'll see if we can get some. There we go. Bye, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching. Happy Pride Month. Happy Juneteenth. And love your neighbors. Have a great week.
Bye, y'all. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
And happy Juneteenth.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee Pan Dulce. Next up is 2 Queers in a Truck. Stay tuned.
Coffee Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee Pan Dulce.
Sounds
It
great.
sounded like a telenova. I mean...